Hello everybody, welcome. I'm Chef Rob. Today we are going to make quesadillas, but it's going to have a little twist to it. It's going to be Italian style. And it's a mozzarella, tomato, and basil quesadilla, and it has a Parmesan crust on it. So a little different, but I'll give you some different ideas that we can dip it into or serve on top of it. Okay, so let's start making our mozzarella, tomato, and basil quesadillas. Okay, so we're going to take 3 tablespoons of softened butter. Okay, take it out maybe about an hour ahead of time. Get it nice and soft. If you didn't take it out ahead of time, don't worry. Put it in the microwave for a couple seconds. Okay, just a couple seconds. Because you do want it to have that kind of, where you can kind of squeeze it just like that. Okay, no softer than that. Now we're going to grate some fresh Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Always grate your own cheese. It has the best flavor. The stuff that's already pre-done, no taste at all. If you ever just try it, no taste. So Parmesan Reggiano cheese, and it will always have it kind of engraved in there. And now I'm taking this microplane, and as I always say, you always make sure you buy one that has a little black stopper on the bottom. That helps it from slipping as you're grating. Okay. So we're going to grate about an ounce of the Parmesan Reggiano cheese. This is some of the best cheese that you can get and put on pasta. I want just about an ounce. If you did go a little bit more, probably be just fine. So probably about a quarter cup is about an ounce. Okay. That is good. Now, as I always tell in my classes, take this rind right here and kind of cut this out here. This is all good cheese, but right here, this is very hard. Just drop that into your tomato sauce or your soup if you're making a minestrone or pasta visual, and it will throw off so much good flavor in there. Okay, so never just throw that out. Use that up really good. Okay, so I am going to take this cheese here, and I am just going to kind of mash it together. Okay, and it'll get even softer because my warm hands will make it soft. And with this recipe, you could make 4, 9 to 10 inch quesadillas with this. Okay, so you can get a good amount out of this. If you want to double this recipe, it would be fine. So just have it just like that. So I'm going to make 2 of these tortillas. I'm using the soft flour tortillas. This is actually a really good brand, this one here. I like it for this, the quesadillas. Now what I'm going to do is just take some of this Parmesan butter and just kind of spread it all over here, all around the whole outside of it, so it's going to have a real nice crust of butter and Parmesan, or Parmesan Reggiano I should say. And I'll leave a little bit extra in there because that will make for our other ones that I could make later on. But I do just want to cover this really well. Try to get all the way to the edge. Okay, perfect. Now, flip them over just like this. May have a little stickiness to your little surface here, but don't worry, just put a little piece of foil down and you can do it on that and throw that foil right away. So I am going to take some chopped up tomatoes now, and I want about 1 cup's worth. Okay, so you would probably go through about 2 plum tomatoes, and I would chop it on the smaller side. Always never refrigerate tomatoes. Always leave them on the counter, because if they are in the refrigerator, they will not have any flavor. Okay, so I'm just making the 2, so I am going to leave 2 over here. If you'll notice, I am spreading all of the mixture on one side of the quesadilla. I'm going to put this back. I'm going to take a little bit of fresh basil. Basil, what I like to do with basil is kind of stack the leaves, take those little stems off. Of course, make sure that they are washed. Now what you could do with basil is just take a little damp towel and just kind of brush it, and then take a dry towel and just pat it dry. You never want to wash basil, because if you wash it and run water over it, it will turn black instantly and the flavor then changes. So I have these all lined up really nicely. You can use up to 1/3 of a cup of fresh basil. And then just cut it into little pieces just like this. And now just going to kind of spread this evenly. And if you ever wanted to make this a little more substantial, you can always add some chicken to this, or shrimp, or beef, and just kind of make it a little heartier if you like. A little bit of kosher salt. It'll bring out that nice tomato taste in here, just like that. A couple twists of fresh ground black pepper. And then I'm going to take some mozzarella cheese, taking about 8 ounces. So this is a pound one, but I'm just making the 2 right now. So I'm just going to take a little chunk off of this, just like this. And then I'm going to use my box grater. I want to use this side right here. And I'm just going to grate that. Always be careful of those fingers. If you have a little frost on the cheese as you're grating it, it will grate a lot easier. So if you take the mozzarella cheese and you put it in the freezer for about 20 minutes before you're about to grate it, it will grate nice and easy instead of kind of getting caught up in there. If you take a little of the non-stick spray and you spray the grater, that will help it from sticking to it as well. Okay, I just want to finish this little piece right here. Okay. Now let's put some mozzarella on each one of these. Even if there's a little block there, that would be just fine. It will melt. If you have a little extra cheese, that is fine. If you want to change this around and use like a sharp provolone, that will work really well too. Now I'm just going to fold these over just like a quesadilla. I am going to turn my burner on over here. I'm going to put it on a medium heat. And then I am just going to press this one down as well. Perfect. And then we're going to put them in the pan because they have a little butter in there, so I don't need to add any oil or any more butter, but you do need to watch them because it has the Parmesan cheese and you're cooking it on a medium heat. So if you don't kind of stay with them, they can get away from you and they can give it a little burnt cheese on there. So really stay with it. Okay. So I'm just letting this heat up right here, and then I'm going to drop them in. One of the things that you could serve with this is some nice marinara on the side. You could even make a bolognese sauce, which is an Italian meat sauce. A little pesto on the side would be really, really good. In one of my cookbooks, I made a marinated artichoke spread. And in that recipe, if you take an artichoke spread, and you can even purchase artichoke dips, or even just Google a recipe, and serve that along with this too. And right on top of this with mozzarella, basil, and tomato would be really, really good. So what I'm going to do now is take this right here. And again, it has the butter and the Parmesan on there. Going to leave it on a medium heat. I'm just going to put a cover over it, okay, because what that's going to do is steam the cheese. It's going to get hot in there. It's going to steam the cheese open, okay, let it melt, and then we'll get a nice crust on the side of it. And that takes about 3 minutes. So in the meantime, what we would do, that's when you would start getting your dips ready, whether it's the tomato sauce, the pesto, the bolognese sauce to serve with it. Or these just by themselves are really, really good. You can always cut these into small little triangles. Cut them into small little triangles, a really good appetizer. If you cut them into big ones, have a nice dinner with them. Serve a little nice salad, Italian bread salad on the side of it. It would be really, really good. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. Let's just take an eye on it. You can hear that nice sizzle. See, I did not have to put any oil or any extra butter in there. You can see that butter and cheese melting in here. That is a nice crust on here. Look at that. Those will be really tasty. So we're just gonna let them go for about 2 minutes more. That will let the cheese ooze out a little bit, okay? And then we'll cut them, and then they're ready to be eaten right away. If you are making a bunch of these in batches, what I would suggest is have your oven on a 200-degree temperature, and then you can just place these in the oven on 200 degrees while you're getting the other ones done. Don't overcrowd the pan, because so much moisture in there can make it sweat, and it will not get really nice and crusty then. You'll have more liquid because of the tomatoes, the basil. Okay, let's check these. Okay, nice and golden brown as well. Now this one only took about a minute on each side. Again, keep it on the highest you want it is a medium heat, and then you can always, if you're afraid that it's going to get a little too dark, you don't want to burn them, just put it on a lower heat, because you can always cook it for a couple more minutes, okay? So if you were having these for dinner, you could basically cut it in half just like this. Little appetizers, you cut them into little pieces, almost like that. Sometimes they will ooze out a little bit. Again, if you have some that are still in the oven or in the pan, put them in the oven on a 200 oven. You don't want them hot, you just want it to kind of maintain its heat, okay, and its crispiness. But these are ready. I'm going to plate these up. Always decorate your plate so they look really, really fancy. You can always put a little black olive bowl on the side of these. Okay, let's just decorate this with just a little bit of this beautiful fresh basil right here. Just need a couple leaves. Again, a couple black olives on the side right here would be perfect. Don't forget the dips, but you don't need to have dips, because if you just eat one of these just like this right now, it would be really, really good. If you put roasted red peppers inside, that would be good as well. Well, one more leaf. There we go. Now it's complete. Okay. So if sun-dried tomatoes inside, excellent. If you put in roasted peppers, that as well is good. But always try to keep that liquid down to a minimum, because then you will start getting steam in your pan and they won't get as crisp. So I hope you make these, and thank you for always watching my classes.